Welcome into another episode of the Immigrant Podcast. I'm your boy, Nikolai Hill. The program is brought to you by Nothing But Net International. If I sound a little bit nasal, of course, I'm trying to fight a little cold that we got going around down here right now. Anyway, I digress. Today's episode is going to be strictly about America. And we hear things going around about, of course, the main jargon in America the last 8 years is Make America Great Again. And the question we'd like to ask here with the Immigrant Podcast is that, has America ever really been great for Black Americans? Of course, we're coming from a long history of Africans and people of African descent being brought to America, or what it was before the name was given to this territory. And now we're going 500 years before since our first ancestors were first brought to this region. And so, of course, our ancestors came here during that era of slavery. They came here to work, came here to toil, and in most cases, they weren't paid or given anything to benefit from in the immediate or long term, as we all know about the opportunities that were given to the Irish and Italian immigrants that weren't also given to African Americans. We moved forward from the slavery and segregation to the civil rights movement. Was it a good time then? Because obviously during the time of slavery from the 1600s to the 1900s, it wasn't a good time. African Americans weren't even considered to be a full human being. If you were considered to be a full human being, obviously life wasn't good for you. The majority of the population in America at that time were European immigrants that, of course, in turn, came here to flourish. But you can't say that for Americans during that time. The majority were enslaved, and even after slavery, it was a tough 100 years for Black Americans. Between the mid 1800s and early 1900s, you move past the 1900s when there was a lot of segregation, a lot of opportunities that supposedly African Americans were supposed to be given. When it comes to the bank loans and having opportunities, equal opportunities or semi-equal opportunities to get jobs and opportunities or to build their own wealth, but that wasn't given. In the civil rights movement, that wasn't a mandatory thing either. It wasn't like you were just offered an opportunity like the rest of America was. You had to fight, you had to struggle, and of course, you don't call it the civil rights movement because things were easy. A lot of people during that time, we can name them Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and a lot of people who are still alive today, like the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and a lot of our fighters back then will tell you that it wasn't an easy time. They've seen a lot in America, and the civil rights movement wasn't a good time. So we're going to say that wasn't the most successful time for Black Americans in America either. And then since that, of course, we move into the late 60s and the 70s. Okay, let's say that, African Americans have become more equal in the workforce, have become more, given more opportunities when it comes to education, opportunities to play like sports, things that didn't happen before 1950. Of course, you know that guys like Jackie Robinson, guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they weren't given opportunities to play in the mainstream big leagues before the 1950s. And it took fighters like Muhammad Ali in the 60s and late 50s and 60s to bring the topic up more about segregation and the opportunities for blacks in America. So the question is, has America ever been great for blacks, like one of the parties is saying? And we're not saying that, of course, the opportunities haven't come. And people keep thinking that we're bashing the structure of the United States when we're asking these questions about America itself and the opportunities for Black people. But what we want is for African Americans to be given equal opportunity And if the jargon that we're hearing mostly is to make America great again, at no point was America actually great for Black Americans. I don't, in this case, I'll say Black Americans, because at no point in history has it been great. Has it been good the last 30, 40 years, 50 years? It's been good. But it's never been great. So the question that I want to ask for my final spot in this podcast, in this broadcast today is, has America ever really been great for Black Americans? Reach out to me in the comment section if you want to. Ask others. Communicate with your friends and family. We're only a few days away from the election. It's your boy Nikolai Hill. Take it easy.